Sherry. We have such beautiful conference these 2 last days. I would like to have your sharing for our school, for our students. How do you feel today after
I
all that?
feel absolutely wonderful. Um, I I attend many conferences. I go to speak at conferences, and and there were so few conferences that had the quality of this conference. The quality, not only in terms of the speakers and the friendliness of the conference, but also the opportunity to get to know people so interesting, people who I would never have dreamed to meet, and they came together at this wonderful venue. Right in the middle of Geneva, and it was a real high for me. Something that I will probably never forget.
Oh, thank
The
you so much.
presentations were fantastic. You know, uniformly, often you go to a conference and well, most of the conferences put you to sleep. uh, but this was this didn't happen. In fact, I couldn't sleep in the evening thinking about all the exciting things that I.
Yes, me too. It was
Yeah, it
exactly the
was so
same. It was
stimulating. I was absolutely.
incredibly stimulating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and in meeting so many interesting people and having a chance to discuss with them over dinner or lunch or whatever, it was spectacular.
Oh,
Really
thank you
nice.
so
So
much.
I thank you for organizing it, because I know what it takes to organize a conference. As you know, I'm the organizer of the annual conference on
The
the
water.
physics, chemistry, and biology of water. It's not simple to put together a conference, and especially the last week or two when there are so many activities to take care of, and problems arise, and everybody has a problem, and it's up to you to solve the problem. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for solving all of these problems. You're amazing, and the
Thank
conference
you.
was amazing, and I just have unending enthusiasm about
Oh, thank
what
you so
happened.
much. In fact, I organized this conference about water, sound, and light because for me it was a sort of we have to go to a different medicine, and integrative medicine also is a new approach also to make all the different medicine together, but I should say more the alternative medicine and a little of the mainstream medicine. But now, what is your thinking about this? Do you agree with this sort of change of paradigm? Because during this weekend, we could see the body, as Marc-Henri presents, as water and sound and light. And that is a completely different aspect. But I think you were on this path during these last years when you find the fourth phase of water. As you know that the body is full of water, I was thinking that you have, and you make also this research, this finding about the impact of the light on easy water. So I was thinking that it was just extraordinary to see during these 2 days how all the research you have made before were making gently, slowly, but surely the path to this comprehension of the human body.
Oh, I think so. Um, Thank you for the introduction, so to speak. Water has taken a back seat, especially in mainstream
Yeah,
medicine. The word water hardly appears in a physiology or biochemistry book. chapter 1 introduces water, and it talks about H2O and a few of the aspects, and then the entire book forgets about it. There's nothing more about water. And the assumption has been that water is nothing more than a background carrier of the more important molecules of life, like proteins and DNA. And from all the research that we've done, we find the opposite is true, that water plays a central role in everything that the cell does. And the cells, so what we found, which is relevant to the effects of light and sound, that water, there's a different kind of water. We call it fourth phase water, and this water is a kind of organized or structured water that, in fact, it fills our cells. And you know, we're 2/3 water, but that, or roughly 2/3, but that 2/3 is by volume. If you start counting the number of water molecules, or the fraction of water molecules, you know, if you line them up one by one, and you start counting, if you do the count, you'll find that more than 99 out of 100 molecules are water molecules. And if you then reflect on the fact that 99 out of 100 of our molecules are water molecules, and the textbook says they don't do anything, you know, they're just the background carrier. It doesn't make sense, you know. Nature doesn't operate that way, and so indeed we find that that water is the center. It's not just the background carrier. It's not just an incidental player. It's central to everything that the body does. And I give you a lot of credit for taking this on, for the understanding that water really is so central to everything the body does, and including this, and you know, in your program, and your program that deals with integrative medicine. It's just right to me, you know, taking account and some of the advances in mainstream medicine, and adding to that so much of what alternative medicine has to offer in so many different realms, you know, realms that have been practiced for many centuries and that we've forgotten. Putting them all together in your academy is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I think this is where medicine should be going, taking into account of truth. There's so much truth. And you're doing exactly that in your academy of, I don't remember the exact name, but academy or free academy of integrative medicine, if that's exactly the name. But you're doing brilliantly. And I've got to say that this is a terrific example of putting together a conference like that. And there should be more of these conferences, not only by you, and I know you're planning to do them.
We shall do next year again, because everyone is asking for it. Now it's sure we shall do again.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes, I have even ideas coming, you know, in night I'm thinking to all of that. And thank you, Jay. I would like to finish this little interview by yesterday, IRIM Foundation gave you the prize Jacques Benveniste. It's the first prize Jacques Benveniste I know in Europe anyway. I would like, because I know Jacques Benveniste, you met him 2004, just before his departure. If you want to give, to say something about your meeting with Jacques, and say a little bit about all the starting of the water conference, as you say usually with Gilles Berling and so on.
Well, yeah.
Because I like this story.
Yeah, well, Jacques was a hero of mine. He was an absolute pioneer. in the field of water memory. And I had to meet him. I was so curious to meet him, and I met him in Paris in his at the first time in his
Lab.
laboratory, which
Yeah.
was a portable, something like a trailer.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that the great Jacques Benveniste was confined to this kind of portable.
Yes.
It was disgraceful how he was treated. And of course, I know the full story or much of the full story uh, of what the editor of Nature perpetrated against
Yes.
him. It was
Terrible.
absolutely terrible. It was, on the level of Galileo and such, and how he was treated by the church. And unfortunately, the great pioneers are treated this way, and how he was treated is a sign of the greatness of his discovery about water memory. And so yes, we before we organized the water conferences that we have now, we organized the water conference just before that under completely different auspices. And I had the, if you pardon the expression, maybe the stupidity or temerity, I'm not sure what is the right expression, but I wanted to invite people. I organized this meeting with another colleague. Well, I was pretty much the person who did the organization, and I invited two people. I thought, if we have a conference on water in biology, there are two people who it was absolutely mandatory to invite. And one of them was Gilbert Ling, who was a pioneer in the idea of ordered water. And of course, ordered water is critical to water memory, because if there's no order, there's no ability to have memory. So I had to, and not only had to, but wanted to invite Gilbert Ling, and of course also Jacques Benveniste. And I'm not sure whether this was the first conference that he was invited to after this debacle that took place, but there was no doubt that his work was so pioneering and so critically important to all of nature that I couldn't imagine organizing a meeting without him. So I invited him. Well, the way these conferences worked, they're called Gordon conferences, and there are a whole bunch of them in different scientific fields, and they used to be held in New England at schools that were vacant during the summer. And the idea was the school was very happy because they could earn money by hosting conferences. And the Gordon Conference people were happy because it was cheap. You could have a scientific conference, and the participants would stay in dormitories and have student level food, and it worked very well. So ours was a kind of, you might say, pioneering conference. The idea was that we'd have one conference, and the Gordon Conference people would help us financially, but they weren't sure whether we were qualified enough to have repeat conferences. Often, or mostly, the most part, the conferences will repeat every year or every 2 years or whatever. So they sent a monitor from the main office to come and sit and witness the conference. At the end of these Gordon conferences, there was always a questionnaire, and they pass out the questionnaires to the participants. And I had the feeling it was a pretty good conference, and I thought for sure we'd get good feedback. And we got very good feedback from most of the people. There were a few people, though, who were not happy with this. They said, first of all, oh, Gilbert Ling, you invited Gilbert Ling. He hasn't produced any research papers or any original research, laboratory research for 20 years. And Gordon conferences are supposed to be for the latest in research. And even worse than that, you invited Jacques Benveniste, a guy who has been totally discredited. And it was a shame that you invited. It spoiled the whole conference. And so we were told right there that our conference would not continue. And I was absolutely taken aback. I was shocked because I had that naive feeling that everybody in the audience would appreciate the fact that we have this really interesting material produced by Jacques Benveniste that impacts everything there is to know about water. But some people, I learned the hard way, that some people don't think that way. And so our conference was discontinued. I was fortunate as I was driving back from the conference to the airport to pass by some friends, colleagues of mine, and I was telling them the story. And they were in shock. They said, wow, you mean they discontinued the conference just because you invited those people? I said, yes. And they invited me. They said, okay, we will host the conference in the future. And that was the beginning of the water conference. So I learned my lesson. I learned that that it's not the entire world that is seriously open to pioneering work like Jacques Benveniste was responsible for. You know, some minds are closed, other minds are open. And so I guess I maybe, it was a misfortune, but it turned into something that was really beneficial. Yes. And I guess I have Jacques to thank for that. And I have you to thank for that, and your academy for this wonderful prize and a wonderful piece of art that I know exactly where I'm going to put in my house.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, sure, my pleasure.
I'm very proud to have you
It's
here.
my great pleasure.
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You.